So Jimmy G, he's the latest quarterback domino to follow as we are into the legal tampering period of free agency. He gets $34 million guaranteed to go to the Las Vegas Raiders, and Stu could not be more upset. Why are you so disappointed? This is good news for you.
Is it good news? I don't feel like it's good news. I feel like it's bad news. I feel like they downgraded a quarterback.
No.
It's
Derek Carr?
I think it's close, but
it's not a clear upgrade. But, I mean, Jimmy's played on better teams, so he has better stats. He's got better quarterback record, all that stuff. And the thing about Jimmy is, who's your backup going to be? Because Jarrett Stidham just signed 2 years with the Denver Broncos.
Exactly. He's going to get hurt. He's going to play 6 games, and he's going to get hurt.
Well, that's true. But you can't. The year that Derek Carr had last year, Jimmy G that's a low bar. He can jump right over that. I know that there was no communication with Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels, but 24 touchdowns and 14 picks. Jimmy can do that, can he?
Listen, I think you could do a lot worse than Jimmy. Like, the one question I have about the Raiders is not like, is Garoppolo the future, blah, blah. We know that he's just a Band-Aid. But do you still draft a quarterback with your first-round pick? You're picking 7th. Do you try to get up and maybe you get a quarterback that has to sit for a year? Or does Jimmy G signal, we're out of the quarterback race for this year. We're just going to go with the veteran as a bridge guy. A bridge to what? I don't know.
I don't know.
A bridge to who?
Jimmy G feels a little better than a bridge guy to me. A bridge guy, you start for 8 games and get rid of.
But they didn't. Okay, maybe you and I have a different definition of bridge. I thought for a year.
Bridge guy, I consider $8 million a year.
Okay, I think bridge guy is just the guy to hold the fort for one season until your quarterback's ready.
Yes, and usually the bridge guy goes out in about 8 games. But you can't pay Jimmy G $30 million guaranteed and have him go out in 8 games. So he's got to play this year.
So right, he's definitely going to play this year. You think they're out on quarterback?
Well, also the other thing too is, don't they need to draft defense at some point?
Well,
they have a lot of money stashed on offense. Their defense has got to be bottom 5 in the league. I don't know exactly how you're going to fix it. I guess they have a lot of money stashed on defense too. But it feels like this is not a team that can afford to trade away draft picks to move up for
luxury items like a future franchise quarterback,
like a project quarterback. I mean, come on, do these 4 quarterbacks, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, and C.J. Stroud, feel like must-haves, or are they more luxuries?
Okay, but maybe not a must-have, but Jimmy G, you're not going to lose enough games to execute a tank to get Caleb Williams or Drake May next year.
Yeah.
So, you're kind of like, this is an in move. This is like an all-in move, but I don't know if Jimmy G is a good enough quarterback to be an all-in quarterback.
Stu's assuming he gets hurt after 6 games.
Yeah.
Wasn't that what you just said? Was that the number?
Yeah, I said 6.
What about if it's 10?
Great. Fantastic. 10 games.
He lasted 10 last time.
Okay. Would you, if you were GM, Maggie, okay, I'm putting this to you. If you were the GM of the Raiders and you could say Rodgers is out, all the other options are out, would you assign Jimmy G, or would you have gone straight draft, or would you do a combination of Jimmy G and maybe pick one at 7?
Well, that's what I would like to do. I would like to have Jimmy G there, but I'm a little having my cake and eating it too here, where, yes, the Raiders obviously need to address more things. So to trade up for a quarterback does seem a little luxury, but you have sort of Jimmy there in the back pocket. If a trade becomes available, or you can see a place where you can move up on the board, or maybe Will Levis falls or whatever, then maybe you find yourself in a position to pounce. They're only at 7. It's not like they're picking 17.
I mean, it might be, you're right. There could easily, first of all, we don't even know if it'll be just one quarterback.
Right.
Maybe the quarterbacks. But what if the top, and I think this will happen, what if the top left tackle is there? You're not tempted by that? Or what if Jalen Carter falls or Will Anderson falls?
Yeah,
There's going to be a lot of tempting players there. I would go Jimmy G.
And then best player available.
Best player available. Because you're such an old team. Devontae Adams is 30. Josh Jacobs is now on the franchise tag. I would go in for the wins. But then again, I'm probably an idiot because the Raiders don't feel like they're going to win. I understand what you're saying.
But here's the thing. Do the Raiders feel as all in as Miami feels right now, as all in, as your Eagles felt last year, as the Rams did in their Super Bowl year? Like, the Raiders are in, but I don't put them in the echelon. I got fooled by the Raiders last year. I thought they were going to be a playoff team, no doubt. I don't know if I put them as a top-tier team, though, with Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's like, you're in the middle somewhere.
They have more expensive free agents than any team. They have Max Crosby, they just paid.
Yeah.
Chandler Jones, they just paid. Devontae Adams, they just paid.
Yeah.
I mean,
Renfro, Waller, we can keep going.
Yeah,
but they
just
weren't
paid
good
everybody.
enough.
Well, I'm just saying that there's nothing, not all in. They paid a lot more guys than the Eagles did. The Eagles just picked up some guys.
I know, but the Eagles were all in and went to the Super Bowl. Like, you have to at least make a deep run in the playoffs, I think, for your all-inness, air quotes, to pay off, to show that it paid off.
Well, it might not pay off, but they invested a lot to get all these guys. So I think they have to see if they can get there. And specifically, forget Max Crosby, forget Chandler Jones. They have to get something out of Devontae Adams now. They can't wait around for a developmental quarterback.
Well, and I don't think they're going to about-face and trade him now, which was one thing that you thought they might do.
Who, Devontae?
Yeah. No, they're not going to trade him now, not with Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It would have. I mean, he's a 30-year-old wide receiver making $30 million. I'm not sure it would have been easy to trade him for anything anyway. But remember that catch he made at the end of last year when Stidham was a quarterback, and it was just you know what I'm talking about. It was on the right side.
I do.
There was no human being on earth who could catch that ball except Devontae Adams. So if you're going to have Devontae Adams, I don't think you can tank, or you can't.
No, you can't. They're not executed to tank, but they're also not executed to go to the Super Bowl, are they? In that division?
Well,
are we adding Jimmy G and all of a sudden it's a rocket ship?
Well, I mean, Jimmy G has done nothing but win playoff games.
I know. We don't think that had a little bit to do with how good the 49ers team around him was. I mean, no disrespect to Jimmy G. If it was my team that signed him today, well, I'd wonder what the heck happened to Josh Allen. But no, I'd be happy, Stu, if I were you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got something now. Before you had nothing.
Didn't even have Jared Stidham on the roster.
You didn't even have Jared
No quarterback.
Stidham. Now you've got at least something. I mean, against Patrick Mahomes, against Russell Wilson, now with Sean Payton, against Herbert. I mean, good luck and everything.
Yeah, I mean,
going to need it.
That AFC West was supposed to be loaded last year. I wouldn't worry
That's true.
about them. Those defense. First of all, that's the other thing too. Those defenses kind of stink. So
The Raiders' defense kind of stinks.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, even Kansas City, I know the Eagles lost the Super Bowl to them, but it wasn't because of the defense. So I think Jimmy G can have a nice year here. I totally understand everything you're saying, but I see no reason.
Wait, do you think the Raiders are a Super Bowl team with Jimmy G?
No, but I don't think the goal here is to be a Super Bowl team necessarily. Say they draft Will Levis or C.J. Stroud. What's going to happen? What's the upside?
Well, now it really...
There'll be like two ships passing in the night. The Adams, Waller, Hunter Renfro, those guys are going to age out. And then by the time C.J. Stroud's ready to go, I don't know. And he won't even be there for them. I'm not sure it'll all work out.
I know, but basically this Garoppolo deal is like a year. I mean, it's $34 million guaranteed. I think technically it's probably $2, but we haven't seen all of the details yet.
Right. And
but this is basically a one-year deal for $34 million.
Yeah, if it flames out terribly, like last year's one-year deal with Derek Carr, they could easily end up in the top 10. And that'll be fine. Next year's quarterback class is ridiculously loaded.
But you're saying it doesn't match up with the rest of the free agents.
Yeah.
The same thing is, the rest of their veteran guys. Like, if Jimmy G doesn't work out this year, like, he's probably going to be gone. And then you are going to be picking probably towards the top of the draft.
Yeah.
You draft a quarterback, so your same problem exists next year as it does this year.
Those guys are just one step away from the door. At that point, you're not going to keep Devontae Adams at 31 and $30 million a year, I wouldn't imagine. So it's I guess two ships passing the night. Regardless, this is the Raiders we're talking about. It's not like we're not talking about.
It never makes sense.
We're talking about Mark Davis as the owner. They just got off a huge year with John Gruden. You say, is this a Super Bowl team? I'm sorry, because I'm all about winning the Super Bowl. Is that the goal here?
Well, I think so. I think they'll tell you it's the goal, but I don't know if anyone thinks it realistically is. Now, here's the thing. It's got to look better with Jimmy G with Josh McDaniels than it did with Carr, right? That's the whole reason you do this, is because they knew each other in New England, and he's going to be more familiar. Yeah. So I'm expecting the offense to be a lot better than it was with Carr.
Yeah, and the offense was pretty good. The defense was really bad last year. So listen, it's the Raiders.
And Carr got a lot more money. I mean, Carr got $70 million guaranteed, where Jimmy's getting $34.
The other thing too, this is a problem for all the teams that are looking at draftable quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Say you drafted Anthony Richardson or somebody, you moved up to him. What if you're in the top 3? What if you didn't have Jimmy G, you could easily be a top 5 pick? Because rookies do not win football games. Even Justin Fields, who was really good, didn't win any football games. So you'd be sitting there number 2 next year with a young quarterback. Then you might be tempted to double dip like the Cardinals. I have no idea. It just doesn't feel like a full rookie thing is the smart thing. I think they're really, really in a much better place with Jimmy G right now than staying at number 7 and drafting a quarterback alone.